They're not going to run the SEC. Because there's a whole lot of arrogant people in a lot of places in the SEC, so they can forget all about that. They'll be a good team and a great program, and Sark will do a great job, but that's not going to be a problem.
It's a little different.
And here we are, a couple of my favorite people for Okies for life, that being Cale Gundy, the former OU quarterback and aspiring broadcaster now. He's doing a great job, and Mark Rodgers. You know, he has represented Blackwell, Oklahoma like no other. Northern Oklahoma, the sports animal, both of them for the sports animal, WWLS. And you guys have been in Dallas for the entire portion. Of course, Cale headed back to Norman a little early for personal, just to have a personal life. But you heard Nick Saban there, and I know the rumors for the duration of the Big 12 that Texas ran the Big 12 as far as business decisions, but Nick Saban threw it out there. Cale, Coach Saban's comical to the point, but he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong right now. But I tell you this, after being there in Dallas in the SEC Media Days for a few days, there's a lot of people think highly of Texas, and even the Texas people. They think that there are big time things to come right around the corner in the years to come, very, very near. I'm not sold on it. I'm not sure. I want to see more consistency. They lost 11 players last year to the NFL. It's going to be hard to replace.
How about you, Mark? I mean, your thoughts from being around all of this the entire week.
Congratulations on this being episode 385. People said this wasn't going to last past episode 360. But you're continuing to go on and on and on. So I salute you, Sean. This is
appreciate
fantastic.
You, brother.
Texas is an incredibly valuable commodity. That's why they're here. So I think as far as running the SEC, that doesn't mean that they're going to decide things in the way that they did. I think with Oklahoma joining Texas, there could have been other teams I think that the SEC wanted. But Texas and Oklahoma, while they're big rivals on the field, they're kind of kindred spirits because of the interest that the rivalry has created through all these years and the success that both programs have had. And I let Cale tell you, but Oklahoma's had a lot more success in this rivalry since Cale played and that we've been covering it, Sean. Texas has the all-time series lead, but Oklahoma's played really well in the last 25 years against the Horns. So it's compelling for both of these teams to be here. I think they do fit kind of the spirit of the SEC. Texas is a large community there in Austin, but it's a big brand. And I think it fits really well with your home schedule this year. You got Georgia and Florida both coming to Austin, man. That's going to be fun. I mean, 40 acres is going to be a great place to be this fall for football.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun for our two big sponsors, Honest Plumbing and Air, and name change. But they believe in old school service. Where a handshake still means something, in Hargrove Roofing. I felt like we've been in Oklahoma with all the hailstorms lately in the first half of this year, and Hargrove Roofing has been extremely busy, and that's good. But Hargrove Roofing, know who's on your roof. You know those guys, and they are big-time supporters of Longhorn athletics as well. Before we move forward, early in the week, Kirby Smart, he really offered a take. And I know there's so much positivity at all media days. Everyone respects one another, and that's just how it goes in these interviews. But Sark does have ties to these guys, and Kirby Smart, the national championship head coach, national champion head coach, had this to say about Texas and Steve Sarkisian.
I have a ton of respect for Sark and the job he does. We got to watch them play last year against several common opponents. Got to watch them play in the playoffs. They have a tremendous recruiting base. They do a tremendous job in recruiting. That includes NIL and everything included in that. So they're a big physical team. They're built like an SEC football team.
So, Cale, we'll begin with you on that. I know that Texas is coming off the first ever CFP appearance, and it really came down to the one play. But you and I were talking prior to this episode that, you know, they do have the depth, they have the talent, they have the quarterback who's been there a while. But one thing that just stands out to me, and this is not a knock on what they'll do, but I just have questions about when you lose 2 NFL guys on the defensive interior. I mean, do you think that's going to be a factor in this team, or from, because you're still dialed into a lot of the guys who are either young in programs or recently recruited?
Well, Mark and I, being there in the SEC media days, always asked what's the biggest difference, and most everybody talked about the line of play, the line of scrimmage, and even the players. A lot of the players that we did interviews with talked about first thing out of their mouth was the line of scrimmage. So again, when you lose 2 NFL players like Texas did, they haven't really had those guys in a long time. Well, they had two of them last year that were as good as anybody in the country. So how are they going to replace those guys? I know they got Alfred Collins, that's there. That's a really good player. Their offensive line, Texas has a bunch of guys coming back. Those receivers that they got, they signed a good group of receivers here in the last year or two. They got transfers, wide receivers that are in. They got a tight end that's coming in. So they're going to have to replace some guys. But, again, it's just a week in, week out deal that, like I told you earlier, I think everybody's just going to beat up on everybody in the Southeastern Conference. You took a great conference and you made it better by bringing Oklahoma and Texas into this conference.
Right.
Somebody probably needed to tell Nick Saban that Texas was at least running the scheduling portion of the SEC, because OU ended up with a really tough schedule and Texas ended up with a really easy schedule. So I'm not sure how the Horns pulled that one off, but I think Texas is going to be good enough to win a lot of those games. There's not even many I would consider 50-50. Georgia, Texas is an underdog. Texas at Texas A&M could be really interesting because of the rivalry aspect of it, and A&M I think is going to be pretty good. The rest of the games, Texas is favored, legit favored in those, and you expect them to win. So I think if you are 6-2 in the conference, you're in pretty good shape of being in a tiebreaker to get to the championship game. So I think Texas has that going for them. I also think Texas is going to be pretty good at rushing the passer, which they need, because last year it was very difficult for teams to run on them, but it was really easy for teams to throw. So if it could be meet in the middle a little bit, say, all right, you're not as good defending the run up front, which is a big key element of football. I'll give you that, and Cale talked about it. But if you can be a little bit better at getting to the quarterback and preventing people from throwing the football on you. Texas had injuries in the secondary last year, but that could be a big component of keeping the defense competitive, just in a different way.
So you guys basically have addressed the big question. Do they have obviously they've been picked by the media to play in the SEC title game, and 6-2 in the conference. And I can't wait until there's actually 9, possibly 10 league games in a league as big as this. I don't know if they're going to expand anymore, but can we all agree? I'm still torn on this just because it is something that they have never faced before. And this is not a knock on the Big 12, having to play at a certain level every week against these programs. Do you guys think they're going to be the final 2 standing in December in the SEC?
Well, I don't. I think you got to throw Ole Miss in there and Alabama. I think those are your potential teams that could also be in there. Alabama's got a very tough schedule, and they have some away games. But I think because of their schedule, they're going to be one of the 4 that's going to have a chance.
And Mark, you pretty much already said it, but is there anything you want to add to that piece?
Well, Cale and I agreed on Ole Miss, but if you're going to kind of criticize Texas for having not been there and done it before, Ole Miss hasn't won the SEC since 1963. Cale and I weren't alive, so it's been a while. They've got to prove it too, and they got crushed last year by Georgia. They got beat 52-17 in that game. They haven't had a whole lot of success against Alabama, but they do look pretty good this year. And they were a big hit in the portal. It's a mystery to me who's going to be there. I think even with Georgia, they have to play at Ole Miss. They have to play at Texas. They have to play Alabama, that game at home, which they lost the last time those 2 teams played. I don't think you can say that anybody's guaranteed to be there. Georgia's been on top of the mountain here for the last few seasons, and they haven't lost in a long time in a regular season game. But they have lost to Alabama the last time they played. So I think it's going to be a hell of a race this year, and it'll be a lot of fun.
I agree, and I will say I don't think Alabama is done. I don't. I still think that culture is still there, even though Saban is no longer there. I think we all can agree with this NIL world we live in. Anyone can elevate their program pretty quick. Here's one piece, a question I hope is dead. I hope it's a subject matter we never have to address anymore. The horns down. Will it be flagged in the SEC? And before we start commenting on that, I hope this is the last time the three of us, have ever talked about it again. But the head of SEC officials, he addressed it, and I love his comments, something that the Big 12 never did.
Giving this signal, to me, isn't offensive, right, in that particular contest. So let's go back on the field. We have a player that's giving it. Is it taunting an opponent, or is it making a travesty of the game? If an opponent of Texas would score a touchdown, and in celebration with their teammates going back up the sideline, they're giving the signal, that's not an issue. We have that already in the Southeastern Conference. We have teams that have things like the Gator Chomp, the things like the Shark Fin for the defense, where that thing has been done. And over the years, we've evaluated, is it taunting? Is it making a travesty of the game? Is it otherwise affecting our ability to manage the game? And the answer is no.
I love it.
Yeah.
John McDade gave you the old shark fin. The old shark fin, Who does that? Is that a Florida Gator deal?
Ole Miss got the Sharks, man. Yeah.
The DBs?
No, they've so from Old Reb, they officially changed their mascot to a shark. So that's the DBs kind of did that thing for the whole school. Hey, doesn't that make you feel a little bit better about being in the SEC than in the Big 12? Because I think that he nailed it. He's exactly right. I don't think the horns down ever inflicted severe emotional distress on anyone, which maybe you can find those people in your part of the country that are so wounded by that thing that they had to seek counseling or whatever. That absolutely should not be a penalty. And I think he's right. Referees should know what taunting is. If you're in somebody's face and you're doing something, whether you're flashing the horns down, horns up, or shark fin or whatever it is, to deserve a penalty. But just the genesis of that, I think, was the West Virginia game in Austin a couple of years ago. No. That was a complete overreaction by Texas.
Cale, you played against Texas. You grew up in Oklahoma. You embody everything that rivalry's about. You played them and you met them. And I'm sure you may not recall, you may have done it. I've never seen a quarterback do it outside of Will Greer from West Virginia, but let the players play.
Yes.
We're in a very soft society. I'll say it. Everyone's offended by it, but I think I don't know if it's the administration at Texas. I just think it was something that was really just driven by social media. And I'm with Mark and Cale, I know you feel the same way. Let it go.
Well, I think probably the reason why it was such a big deal to maybe some Texas Longhorn fans was Oklahoma was having so much success and winning so many championships, and they got just tired of seeing them. But it is amazing, though. I mean, like OU will have official visits, and they will take pictures, and do the horns down. I don't understand it. I mean, I don't get, like, they're not even playing Texas. They have nothing to do with Texas, but they'll give everybody comes in there and they do horns down. So I never did it. Only person I can ever really remember doing it, and Mark, you may remember this, was Keywan Jones. When he scored, he ran a inside power play and ran to the official and did the horns down, and the O-linemen were coming and grabbing him from behind, and they almost ran the referee over. But anyways, no, I never had enough success, Sean, to spend a lot of time giving the horns down.
Okay, and I'll also say this. I mean, like, it is also somewhat of a weak move by the OU fans. OU really doesn't have a symbol or a sign either, so they've kind of adopted the horns down as the universal OU sign, or the people driving around that have got Texas logos on their car turned upside down. I don't know that I'd be real proud to be one of those people either. So
Well,
there you go.
You'll start looking across the country now. I've seen it. There will be a game not even involving Texas, and there's the horns down on national television. I've never understood it. Never understood it. It's free publicity, great marketing, whatnot. Mark, Cale, before we take a quick break, who's been your best interview during your time in Dallas this week?
Mark?
Cale?
Mark, we had a bunch. I really enjoyed Cole Kublik from out of Alabama. Played at Auburn, does some ESPN work, and it really enjoyed him. Jacob Hester came over, played at LSU, and does some ESPN stuff as well. And we had many others. You know, Toby Rowland from here, from the voice of OU. But who else, Mark?
Ian Fitzsimmons was great today to stop by with us. And I thought a lot of the players early on, one of the receivers from Ole Miss, I thought was really, really good. So everybody here, I think, does a great job of, being generous with their time. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, Trey Harris from Ole Miss was sharp.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, Sean. I mean, you want to talk bling and ice? There was a lot of bling and ice here this week. I mean, these guys brought in some necklaces and chains and some pendants. I mean, wow. I'm curious if those are real or not. That's a lot of money if they are.
Between the footwear, the belts, the pendants, the jewelry, the bling, the suits. Did the SEC, did they have a contract with a suit company? Is that what happened?
I think the different players had the ability to do some of the things. The Kentucky defensive end or defensive lineman today, Dion, can't remember the last name that we talked to. He had it looked like a diamond encrusted dog with his number in between the teeth, and it had purple jewels for eyes. And I wish I could have snapped a picture of that. I'm sure somebody has got it, but that was the bling topper of the week.
Was it?
I don't think that there's any way, like if he gave that to me to wear, there's no chance I could do it justice. It only looks good on certain people.
You wouldn't fit in Blackwell?
I wouldn't fit in Blackwell. No.
Was it his dog? Was it a picture of his dog? Because he plays for the Wildcats. You sure it wasn't a cat?
I have to go back, and I've done too many interviews. I think that's his nickname or his mentality. I'm not sure. If we'd have taken that back to the MTV Beach House, Cale, it would have been robbed. And that's for sure.
So the rumor is you guys stayed at a fabulous place near the Cotton Bowl. It's
we did.
Were you having memories? You couldn't wait till October? Or?
Well, I could not. The beds, it was rough. I mean, I woke up 2 mornings in a row, and I immediately thought, do I need to go get a massage? Because, my back was hurting so bad. Now, the first night I stayed in a room that was the smallest room I've ever stayed in. I've never been in a prison cell, but I think the prison cell was bigger than this room. And I think the bed in a prison cell probably would have been better than the one I slept in as well. So, but we fought through it. We had a great time. We watched the All-Star game. We watched Home Run Derby. It was a blast. Mark heard some stuff at nighttime, woke him up in the middle of the night.
There were 2 things. Cale, you guys were gracious enough for some reason to let me out of the room with the bathroom, which was very nice. There's a mattress on the bed that I've never seen before. It was really it wasn't a mattress. It was like a piece of foam that was, I don't know. But as a fairly, husky guy, I think that it didn't support me as well as I was looking for. Then the good news for Cale is that your former coworker, Curtis Fitzpatrick, he sprained his labia early in the week and had to go home. So Cale got to move into his room.
But that bed wasn't any better. I thought it was going to be, the room looked better, but the mattress wasn't very good as well.
There was more room in it. I said this is like a big Venn diagram. On one end, you have construction workers. On the other end, you have, you've got pets that have no home, that are just around in the neighborhood. And then you have, on the other end, like the very edge of Lower Greenville, where you have a lot of really good-looking people out exercising and walking pets that do have homes. And then we were right on the edge of the other part, like the construction and the feral cats.
The
they're all kind of in the state. They're all in the same. It's like a big stew. They're all in the same area.
I told Cisco, I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get some sponsors next year. I mean, I'll get us taken care of. I mean, we might be in Turtle Creek for all I know. I mean, we're going to get this thing figured out.
Did you say Curtis sprained his labia or labrum?
Labia.
Google it.
Oh man, that guy's so legendary! I cannot wait. I want to text him and ask him how that is doing. If he went to go see a that specialist.
Labia doctor.
Labia specialist.
That's right.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break here from Hargrove Roofing, pay homage to them, and we're going to talk about the Sooners. These guys see them every day, and we're going to talk Sooner football on the other side of this break.
Today is going to be an exciting day at the Hargrove office as we bring in a local celebrity. Welcome the kicking phenom, Bert Auburn, conference champion of the Texas Longhorn football team, all-conference kicker. He's going to be our new spokesman. Bert's the best kicker in the conference. He plays for the Texas Longhorns. As you can see, Bert's f***ing awesome. Hey, Stevie.
Dude, you're really replacing me with a kicker?
No, not at all, man. Hey, guys, who wants a picture with Stevie? Anyone? Stevie almost won a Big 12 championship. Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
Really just the time. It went from 11 a.m. to 2:30, which I liked 11 better. Wake up and play football, get right to it. But nothing has changed. If anything, it might be a little bigger,
So there we are. The game changed. The three of us, we've seen the 2:30 kickoff before. It's been a long time for the Red River rivalry, and I have a feeling you guys will not be staying in that same Airbnb for this year's 2:30 kickoff. I mean, is this that big of a story? I mean, I know it'll help with fans for the night before, imbibing in beverages and enjoying Dallas the night before. But is it really that big of a story, the time change from 11 to 2:30?
I'll go on this one.
Yeah.
This game, if they played it tomorrow at 3 a.m., I'd be there. It's that fun. It's that cool. It's one of the best sporting events on the calendar. And I legit get excited to tell people around here, like, hey, you've ever been to that game? And they say, no. I'm like, I really not even going to try to tell you what it's like. You got to experience it for yourself. So anybody that is complaining about what time that game starts has some serious first world issues. They need to try to spend a night in Cale's room. That'll toughen them up a little bit and get them.
Well, there are people that got some serious issues because it is very, very much talked about year round. If that game's at 11 a.m. and everybody, I think a lot of people complain about it. I know all the players and coaches, they love the 11 a.m. game because they like to get out of there and get back home, be able to sit down in their back patio or wherever and watch some other games. So 2:30 is going to be right in the middle of it. I mean, it's going to be hot. But could be cool. There's been different temperature dates. We don't know what the temperature is going to be. But like Mark said, it doesn't matter. I mean, you could play that game at 3 a.m. You could have it at 3 a.m. on Christmas Eve, and it would be slam packed.
Cale and I were listening to Traber, who's our afternoon host, the other day, and he and Al Eschbach were talking about the fact that they never drank before 5 in the afternoon. And then they kind of walk that back a little bit later on for certain circumstances. So if you're worried about, man, I'm going to be hungover, I got to get up early, just start drinking earlier. Drink in the after 3 o'clock, go to bed at 9 o'clock, and you'll be fine getting up for the 11 o'clock game. So I'm glad it's 2:30 this year. There'll be times it's back at 11, and there's going to be some big games for both teams this year that are at 11 o'clock. Texas plays at Michigan at 11 o'clock. So just do your drinking early or manage your drinking a little bit. You'll feel fine for kickoff. And like Cale said, you'll have the rest of the day to watch college football after that game's over.
And make sure an Uber.
Yes.
Make sure an Uber.
Yeah.
That's messages from Mike.
Mike, and then there's liquid IV. It works. I promise you.
Stay hydrated. Also
and
important.
Advil. Pop 3 Advil, get a liquid IV before you go to bed. You're good to go. But before we change that from that topic, I have to admit, though, for those, Mark, you kind of alluded to it, to people who have never been to the game in person. I mean, I honestly agree with whoever made that list back in April or May. Red River rivalry is now the number one rivalry in the SEC because of the uniqueness of it and where it is.
Yeah, Alabama and Auburn is tough to beat. The good news is if we even have to have this debate, that means that there's some other really, really good rivalries. Florida hasn't been showing up to the Florida-Georgia game as much recently. That's a pretty good one, and it's unique in the same way. It's not the same, but it is close to that with the neutral site.
Right.
No, it's really good.
I think what makes obviously the OU Texas game different is just everything outside of it and around it. Just the Cotton Bowl itself, the fair, the corn dogs. Half the stadium is OU, the other half is Texas. To me, that's what makes it so different. And now they don't. Alabama Auburn used to play at Legion Field there in Birmingham, which is a very neat, special place. When I was coaching at UAB, we would play there, and I tell people, Mark's heard me say this. I mean, we'd be playing on Saturday, and the Iron Bowl would be the next weekend. There'd be 1,000, 2,000 RVs already in the parking lot, for that game. But I think just everything that goes on outside, off the field for the football game at the Cotton Bowl makes it the most special one.
And Mark, I've got to give you credit. And Cale, you're witnessing me admit something I'm proud of. So I finally, Mark Rodgers, you probably don't remember this. This probably happened in 2009. You convinced me to put down the cell phone, quit working so much prior to the game, go get coupons, and get 2 or 3 wax cup beers before you work.
Yeah.
And that has been, it took me that long, 09 to current. Help me work more efficient.
I don't know if that all large companies' policies are the same way when it comes to that, but we've identified what the threshold is for cold beer consumption before broadcast. That's the All-Star Game Home Run Derby. If you go there, you've gone too far. So you need to dial it back a little bit. But 3 wax cup beers should only make you better. Yeah,
it hit the recommended daily allowance, carbs, and everything. And it was not the 4-point. It was the 6-point Texas beer, by the way.
Nice.
So you guys alluded to it, both the Longhorns and the Sooners. We were talking about the fashion, the attire. This is what we were talking about in the first segment. I mean, one of your guys is cut off in the picture. I mean, but look at Brent. I've never seen him wear a cowboy hat before. And Danny Stutzman, I think, has his dog inside of his sport coat.
Yeah.
That's impressive. That is impressive to a T. That just didn't happen the week prior. Uh-oh.
No, Danny, that was a really cool suit that Danny had. That was his dog, his own dog that he has there, Sean, and looks really good. Billy Bowman was dressed up really, really good. I think maybe Jada Coleman, his wife, the great OU softball player, I think maybe she picked that out, and the young Jackson Arnold was nice and clean.
They look good. Talk about Jackson Arnold, the quarterback. Denton has been a pipeline of talent. There's quite a few Denton guys on both Texas and OU's roster, a lot on OU. But Mark, I saw your eyes blink, so you've overcome the Wi-Fi issue.
I'm moving.
Jackson Arnold, where do you guys anticipate him to be? Because he was heavily recruited. Shoot, he started, if I remember right, started a state championship game as a freshman while he was in high school.
He might have had a better offensive line there at Denton than he does this year. So that's he's going to need those guys to block. Cale skewered him in our interview. He was asking him the tough questions about, some turnovers and things like that. And he passed the test. He was really good answering those. He's in a tier of quarterbacks in the league, I think, with Nussmeier at LSU, maybe a little bit Connor Wegman at A&M, that don't have a bunch of experience but have really, really high projections. And so how those guys play are going to go a long way in determining where those teams finish.
Cale, you played the position. You've coached a lot of positions, running backs, whatnot. But what do you see in Jackson that really, as the coaching DNA inside of you, makes you feel at ease about this season, regardless if they're in the SEC or not?
Well, he first of all, he's extremely competitive, very competitive. He has all the tools. I mean, he will, if you rank all the quarterbacks in the SEC by, how fast he is, his arm strength, his accuracy, his toughness. I mean, he's going to be, if you're ranking him like recruiting, like a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, I mean, he's going to be just like a restaurant. He's going to be a 4.5 or above, your great restaurant. So I think that he's going to be one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks moving forward in this conference in the years to come. How it'll be very interesting to see, how many chances does he take? Do they do a good job of just making sure that he doesn't lose games? He's got great talent around him. He's got unbelievable, I think, the best receiving core that OU's had in a while. DeMarco Murray's got a bunch of good running backs there. So, taking care of the ball, distributing it, but don't put your team behind. The defense is going to be better this year. It's probably going to carry the team a little bit. Don't hurt the team, but he has all the tools. Again, overall, his EA Sports rating should be as good as anybody. If you put them all on the same field, he should be right there with the rest of them.
Hey, Clinch, I hate to do this to you. I got to let you go because we got a bunch of equipment I got to help my boss carry out, or it'll just be Cale by himself on the future shows. Hey, your ball dome is looking incredible. Can I figure out if I would look as good as you without hair? How do I do that? I don't want to shave it all off because it might not come back, and I'm not sure I would.
I think we could carve you around. Just carve that toupee off there, Mark, and I think we can.
Hey, you're looking sexy as always. It's the Blackwell water. It's the Blackwell air. I've always been envious of it. You don't age a bit, and the presentation gets better with age.
Oh, thanks for hitting on me. I'll look forward to seeing you soon. I owe you a podcast. All right, I'll see you, boys. Bye.
See you, man.
Okay.
All right, here's your photo to caption this. This is Lane Kiffin, the Ole Miss head coach, and unfortunately lost his father here recently this past week or this weekend. Is that so? Caption this, and I really want to know: is that a legit tan or is that a spray tan?
I would think it's a legit tan. I think he's having a good time right now, enjoying life. I think he's been at the beach. I think he's enjoying life at the pool. He had some Blue Delta jeans on, which is a very popular brand there in Mississippi. I had a chance. Jeff Levy bought me a couple pair. Here's the only problem, though: after you wear them, do not wash them because they will. You can't get back into them ever again. I mean, I'd have to have been a 6th grader after I washed them. You're supposed to dry clean them, but those guys. Lane looked really good, but no, that's his natural tan. I noticed that, and it was had a little bit better brown in it when you see him in person. So that he's got some red in him. I can get some red in me too. So
yeah, you and I both, because I've got a lot of square footage that cover, man. SPF 1200 is the way I go.
Hey man, tell me something good.
All right, my brother, this is how we wrap these up. There's so much negativity, but man, we've got college football in the world, which should raise the positivity. Tell us something good, inspiring, or something positive that's on your mind.
Well, man, life is good. Everybody just needs to have some patience, hug people, tell people that you love people, be friends with people, and just don't be so damn negative. There's just too much negativity in this world. And just relax a little bit and enjoy everything. Enjoy your family and friends. Meet people, shake hands, get to know people. And I think you'll sleep better at nighttime.
Sage advice, because it's hard to get on social media, even though I love following you and Mark on social and seeing where you guys are. It's hard because in between tweets or whatnot, there's something overly political. There's people, it's just too extreme nowadays. But you and I have to give that, hug somebody, talk to them, hang out, but appreciate what we're all about to experience, a new era of college football, in my opinion. And there's so much beauty to it. Much beauty to it.
I'm excited. I've been, I'm excited about the move to the SEC. It's good for Oklahoma. It's good for Texas, and it's good for college football. Hey, I enjoyed the Big 12. I like where the Big 12 is.
100%.
I mean, my brother's the head coach at Oklahoma State. I love that conference there. That's a great conference for them in there. It's not an SEC conference, but there's a bunch of really good teams in there that can kind of beat up on each other. So I like what college football is, kind of what we're doing and kind of where we're going. I'm concerned a little bit about the West Coast teams and all the travel to the East Coast and vice versa, but we're in a pretty good spot right here, Sean.
Things I never thought I'd ever see. West Coast teams playing on Eastern time zone in a league game, but that's where we are. And you're telling me something good. We got to stop worrying about things we have no control over.
That's right.
That's right. Hey, man, good luck to your brother, man, in Oklahoma State. I'm pulling for them to win the Big 12. I mean, they have a great opportunity to really take that league over, in my opinion.
They do. They've got a lot of players coming back, but there's still some good teams in there. You got Kansas State, Utah's coming in town, so they're going to have something to say about it. But, again, another league that's got some really good quarterbacks. You got quarterbacks at Kansas and Jay Daniels. You got Kansas State quarterback, Iowa State quarterback. Arizona can throw it. They're young quarterbacks. So I see a lot of good quarterbacks in college football, Sean, and it has to do with the training that these these quarterbacks are taking, all the 7-on-7s, and you just see more more skill players, more quarterbacks, and I think it's going to make for an exciting college football year.
No, it is. I'm excited, and I'm hoping to get up there to the OKC area before it all kicks off and see you guys and have one last weekend of relaxation. And because I miss the cold beverages in Norman and Oklahoma City. I really do.
We have them. We have them. Come on.
Hey, buddy, I appreciate it. And you guys need anything, let me know. You and Mark, and I'm always there for it.
Sounds good. Thank you, brother.
For the Cale Gundy and the Mark Rodgers, who is always on the go and running, and for the OG Man Cave boys, that being Hardball Hard, Big Mike, and the Coach Mo, we are out.